The rise and fall of Ben Samson, hitting rock bottom. The cold winds of Manhattan cut through the thin fabric of Ben Samson's jacket like tiny blades. It was just after midnight, and the streets glimmered with neon reflections from rain-soaked sidewalks. He pulled the frayed collar tighter around his neck and sank deeper into the doorway of an abandoned store. 2 years ago, Ben was somebody. Now, he was nobody. Just another invisible man, sleeping on the concrete sidewalk, homeless. The fall. At 48, Ben Samson had once been an accounting executive at Chemtrack, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the country. He earned $500,000 a year, plus bonuses. He lived with his wife, Alaina, and their 4 children in a luxurious home by a quiet lake. They had matching luxury cars, vacations in Europe, and a life most people only dreamed about. But dreams are fragile things. It started harmlessly enough, after work drinks with colleagues. But the drinks became nights, and the nights turned into habits. Alcohol loosened its grip just long enough for something worse to creep in: drugs. By the time Alaina noticed, the man she had married was slowly disappearing. The cracks in the family.
Alaina was a hard-working nurse, pulling long shifts to support the family. She begged Ben to stop, warned him that his 2 DUIs and late-night binges were spiraling into something darker, but he laughed it off.
"I've got it under control," he said. He never did. Bills went unpaid. Money vanished from their joint account. Ben's best friend Charles noticed too. After-work hangouts were routine, but Charles knew his limits. Ben didn't have any. And then came the first big blow. Chemtrack let him go. The job, the respect, the steady paycheck, gone.
Alaina's breaking point. Alaina worked double shifts, sometimes triple, just to keep the house. She opened a separate bank account to protect what little savings she had left. But one day at the grocery store, her card was declined. Confused, she rushed to the bank, only to learn Ben had drained the account dry. Nearly $3,000 gone in 3 days. That night, exhaustion crushed her. Alaina collapsed from stress and landed in the hospital for 2 days. Ben never even noticed. He was passed out, lost in his addiction.
Charles showed up at the hospital furious and worried. He called Olivia, Alaina's sister, to pick up the kids. Alaina recovered physically, but something inside her began to shatter. The foreclosure notice. When she finally returned home, there was a foreclosure letter waiting on the table. Ben was slumped in the living room, reeking of alcohol. Charles confronted him. "Ben, look at yourself, man. Do you even know Alaina was in the hospital? You're losing everything." "No, scratch that. You've lost everything." Ben stared at the floor, broken but silent.
The goodbye. Alaina quietly packed 2 suitcases and came downstairs, her face pale but determined. She knelt beside Ben and whispered through her tears, "I can't save you anymore, Ben. I've tried everything a wife can do, but I have to save myself and our children. If you want to see us again, you need to save yourself first."
Ben lifted his head, his cheeks wet with tears, his voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Alaina. Tell the kids. Daddy's sorry."
She kissed his forehead, turned away, and walked out the door with Charles.
Ben stayed behind, muttering apologies into an empty room, surrounded by shattered dreams. And then came the sound that would haunt him forever. The click of the front door closing. The spiral. For the next 2 months, Ben spiraled deeper. He wandered aimlessly through Manhattan, surviving on alcohol and scraps. But his heart wasn't numb yet. It ached for his family.
He showed up at Olivia's house again and again, begging to see Alaina and the kids. Olivia would step outside, her patience wearing thin. "Ben, if you don't stop coming here, I'll have to call the police." Still, he came back, until one evening changed everything.
The betrayal. Ben waited across the street, hidden in the shadows. He wanted just one glimpse of his children. Then Charles's car pulled up. Ben's heart leapt until it shattered. The kids jumped out and ran into the house laughing. Alaina stepped out next, lingering by the car. She smiled, hugged Charles, and kissed him softly on the cheek before walking inside. Ben froze. The sight hit harder than any beating, any loss, any humiliation. He felt like the air had been ripped from his lungs. In that moment, he sobered instantly. But there was no rage, only regret. I did this to myself. I ruined my family, he whispered. He never went back to Olivia's house again. The streets. 2 months later, the house was gone, foreclosed. Ben drifted from parks to subways to cardboard boxes and alleyways. Panhandling near 42nd Street and 34th Street was brutal. The streets had their own laws. Younger, tougher homeless men controlled the territory. Without permission, they'd beat you and rob you. If they allowed you to beg in their area, you had to hand over 60% of what you earned. After being beaten up and robbed several times, Ben decided to move to a less volatile location. Ben moved to a quieter block where fewer people passed by, but it was safer. Enough strangers offered him breakfast and dinner to survive. An unexpected friend. Among the donors, there was one who stood out, Joe. Joe, a 35-year-old cybersecurity engineer, worked a few blocks away. Unlike the others, he didn't just toss $1 and leave. Joe would sit beside Ben on the concrete and talk. "Man, you gotta get off these streets," Joe said one chilly afternoon. "Don't you want more out of life, Ben?" "What do you want?" Ben laughed bitterly. "A 20 would do me some good right now." Joe chuckled but kept coming back day after day. Then for 2 weeks, Joe disappeared. Ben felt the loss like a missing limb. Without Joe's donations, he went nights without food and without his evening bottle of vodka. For the first time in months, his mind cleared and painful thoughts came rushing back. He thought of Alaina, of the kids, of Charles. Maybe they're better off without me, he told himself. But deep down, he missed them so much it hurt. The spark. 2.5 weeks later, Ben spotted a familiar figure walking toward him. "Joe!" he shouted, his heart pounding. Joe smiled. "Hey man, took a little vacation. You holding up?" Ben nearly hugged him but stopped, ashamed of the dirt and the stench on his clothes. Joe handed him a $20 bill, but this time, Ben didn't joke. "You asked me what I wanted," Ben said, his voice trembling. "I want my wife and kids back." Joe's smile faded. He stared at Ben for a long moment, then nodded. "All right," Joe said softly. "Now that you know what you want, let's figure out how to get it." He glanced at his watch. "I gotta get back to the office, but meet me here at lunchtime. I've got a plan." For the first time in years, Ben felt something strange. Hope. They grabbed lunch on the sidewalk, sitting cross-legged on the cold pavement as taxis roared by. Joe opened up about his past, a story Ben never expected. At 22 years old, Joe was arrested after a drug deal gone wrong that spiraled into a shootout. He didn't fire the fatal shot, but an innocent bystander died, and Joe was sentenced to 6 years in prison. "Prison woke me up, Ben," Joe said quietly. "I was killing myself out there. But behind those walls, I found something bigger than me." He joined a Muslim group, turned his life around, and enrolled in the Brave Behind the Bar program, earning a certificate and a degree in computer programming and business management. When he was released, he landed a job in cybersecurity and rebuilt his life from scratch. Ben listened, stunned. Joe didn't just survive, he transformed. "If I could rise above my past," Joe said, leaning closer, "you can rise above yours." The gift. Joe reached into his backpack and pulled out a small box. Inside was a brand new iPhone. "This is your weapon," Joe said, placing it in Ben's hands. "I want you to fight back. Tell the world what life on these streets is really like. Document everything. Share the stories of the people you meet. Set up a YouTube channel, and I'll help you grow it." Ben blinked, holding the phone like it was made of gold. "Joe, I don't even remember the last time I held one of these." "Then it's time to remember who you are," Joe replied with a smile. "But listen, Ben, don't trade this for vodka. Don't blow this chance. If you want your family back, this is how you start." For the first time in years, Ben felt powerful. As he clutched the phone, his hands trembled. Not from withdrawal, but from hope. "Something's happening," he whispered. "God's giving me another chance." Ben's first video. That night, Ben sat cross-legged against a brick wall in a dimly lit alley, the new iPhone glowing in his hands. The city roared around him. Sirens, distant honking, and the constant hum of a sleepless Manhattan. His thumb hovered over the record button. For years, he had been silent, invisible, erased. Now the entire world could hear his voice. He took a deep breath and hit record. The camera captured his sunken cheeks, his tired eyes, and the grit of his existence. For a moment, he said nothing. The silence was deafening. "My name is Ben Samson," he began, his voice low and shaky. "I used to make $500,000 a year. I had a wife, 4 beautiful kids, a house by the lake." His voice cracked. He paused, swallowing hard. "And I lost it all." The camera trembled slightly in his hands. "I want you to look at me. Really look at me. This is what addiction does. This is what pride does. This is what ignoring the people who love you does." A single tear traced the dirt on his cheek. "But I'm not done yet. I don't know how, but I'm going to climb back. And if anyone out there feels hopeless right now, maybe we can climb back together." Ben stared at the camera, breathing heavily, as if every word had drained him. Then he whispered something, almost to himself. "Alaina, kids, if you see this, I'm sorry. I'm going to fight for you." He ended the video and sat in silence, clutching the phone to his chest like a lifeline. For the first time in years, Ben Samson didn't feel invisible anymore. Ben had recorded more than a video that night. He had recorded a promise to himself, to his family, and to the world. But redemption comes with a price. Ben took a small bottle of vodka he had stashed away. He opens it and pours it down on the concrete floor. He felt empowered after recording his first video. Something was changing inside him, but it was only the beginning. Ben Samson had finally taken the first step. But a phone and a dream weren't enough. The road to redemption would demand sacrifice, discipline, and a battle against his darkest demons. And as the first views begin to trickle in, Ben has no idea just how dangerous and transformative this journey will become. And the world was about to watch every moment unfold. To be continued.